there's a conversation happening, so I'll put it on mute for a while. I might be finishing, but while I'm getting this all set up, so I'll try and shush them up a little bit. All right, let's see how we go. As I mentioned, so the information session that we're holding is just to give you some guidance on the assessment templates that we've been working on, and just to show you where they sit and where to use them. I hope that's better, if everyone can hear me. All right, so in this session, we're going to be covering the background information, the timeline for the implementation of the templates, the differences between the version 2, which are the ones that are sitting on the intranet at the moment, and the version 3 templates, which are the ones that have just been released. Also, where to find the assessment templates, where you'll find the completed assessment templates within the learning bank, using the standardised file names that we've also been working on to ensure that the naming convention is consistent throughout. We're going to have a look at the transition period and also the continuous improvement. So looking at the background information, we identified that there was a need to update the current set of templates that were on version 2. And so we undertook that task, and the result of that were the version 3 templates that we'll take you through. There was also an opportunity to identify strategies to streamline the process, and as I mentioned, ensuring that the filing convention naming has also been used as part of this to ensure that there is consistency throughout the development of the documents. There's a systematic approach to gathering feedback as well. Sorry, is that still a bit noisy? Everybody hear me?
Yeah, it is pretty. There's a lot of background noise, Lucia. I know you can't help it.
Yeah. Did you want to maybe take over from here until it sort of quietens down?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I want to.
That might be better.
Yep. Okay.
Lucia, I think it could be your headset. It's the thing that's making a lot of noise as well.
No, there is actually a conversation taking place, and I happen to sit right near the door, so that doesn't help. So maybe if David can take over from here, probably a better result.
Yeah. Sure. Yep. Happy to do that. Yeah. So we took a systematic approach to gathering feedback, and we consulted quite broadly with the update of the assessment template. So we consulted with the DIP teams and TAFE Digital and the skills points, and went through a process of really looking at the version 2s, or the compliance templates as they were called, and then coming up with the new set of documentation that Lucia led the design of the version 3s. The assessment templates, or version 3 assessment templates, were specifically designed for the Project 83 suite of courseware development, and so they were designed specifically for that, but they can be used if people choose to at any time. We also developed a communication strategy as part of the whole conversations that went on around the updating of the assessment templates, and that we will have methods for people still to be able to communicate as part of a continuous improvement process with the the updating or the continuous improvement of the assessment templates. And Chair, how are you going with, do you want to go to the next slide, and how are you going there? Do you have still a lot of background noise?
No, it's all right now, so I can take over from here.
Okay.
Okay, so thanks, Dave. So the timeline that we've looked at is from the 3rd of September, which was from Monday. We've started conducting these information sessions, so we've been having almost one a day, so we've to reach out to all the teams. From the 17th of September, the version 3 assessment templates will be available to the regions. As you may or may not have noticed, on the intranet, the version 2 templates will be coming down after the 24th of September. So won't be there anymore, and the idea is to start to use the version 3 templates from the 17th. October to December, the assessment templates available for use for semester 1 for the non-Project 83 courses. And what we're anticipating is that from November, Project 83 course assessments become available to be used for semester 1, 2019. So what we envisage is that from July 2019, all version 3 assessment templates will be used for all courses. Were there any questions just on that little bit of feedback before I delve into the assessment templates? Okay. So the differences between the assessment templates. So what you'll see here on the right are the set of templates that we were responsible for. I know that on the version 2 on the intranet there are additional documents, but these are the ones that we've actually worked on and that we've been worked for the version 3. So with the version 2, there were 3 lots of student assessments. There was the project, the skills and the knowledge. There were individual student documents such as the student declaration form, the student unit result summary and the submission cover sheet. And the marking guides that you'll see here, they were to grade student assessments and to provide feedback to the students. From taking this information, we've developed the version 3 templates, and you'll see here on the right the different documents that we have created. So with the student assessments, we've added an additional one, which is the case study that was not there before. So now there are 4 different types of assessment templates. We've also incorporated into each student assessment a student declaration form that sits at the front of the assessment and a feedback form at the back. So we've incorporated 3 documents into one. The marking guides are for the trainer and assessor. And so now we have distinctive documents that are student-facing documents and that are trainer and assessor documents. We also included a support document for each of the different types of documents. So the support document was around offering guidance. A lot of the feedback is to, how do we fill these forms, the assessments, what do we write? So we developed a support document to assist in completing the student assessment. In each of the assessments, we've also incorporated 2 to 3 different assessment methods to, again, offer more support in the developer of the assessments that they can use throughout the process. And we've also included more detailed instruction within the template. So there's not only the support document with instructions on how to complete the student assessment, but each of the assessments, whether it be a student or a marking guide, they all have detailed instruction within to be able to support the development process. So with the assessment templates, we actually released these on the 27th of August, and the school point teams were the first ones. And we've also provided information sessions for each of the 9 skill points, so they're aware of these, and I know that some of them have been using them because I've actually seen them. So where these templates will sit, they sit in 2 different places. The first one is in the Learning Bank, the Word documents there, and the second lot will be, same templates will be in the data docs. So before I hand over to Tracy, who's online from the Learning Bank, and she can take you around the documents, was there any questions so far that I can answer for anyone? Okay, I might then proceed. Tracy, were you able to go through the Learning Bank?
Sorry, just checking, Dave, are you doing the data
I can have a look at data
yes.
after. I can have a look at data after you, Tracy. That'd be wonderful. Thank you, mate.
Yeah. Oh, there is a question there, Lucia, before we go on.
Yes, thank you.
The templates will be used across all of TAFE. So will the templates be used across all of TAFE is the question?
Yes, they will be. These templates, the version 3, are definitely for all Project 83 courses and used across all of TAFE.
Yes, I've got a question. It's Charlie Cross here. How are you going?
Good, how are you?
Good, thank you. Yeah, the question I've got is, in your comms plan, when will you engage with the hosts of each skills team?
I think that is coming, and Joe Fuller, our city manager, has been doing a lot of work on that. So I believe that will be coming down the track. So at the moment, we're scheduling quite a few. So at this point in this week and next week, we're focusing on the dips, and then we'll be looking at some of the other ones.
Great, thank you.
Hi, Lisa. It's Virginia McCarthy here. So
Hi.
the other question then is about looking at the implementation plan for the use of these templates outside of the 83 and any definitive timeframes with that as to when's I guess the key deadlines that these are to be used. Obviously, that requires a lot of work, and I guess that's dovetailing off Charlie's point.
So if I'll go back to the beginning, so in the timeline, what we said was for all Project 83, they should all be implemented by, we're sort of saying that semester 1 is probably going to be a little bit of a transition, and by semester 2, they should all be in place. And definitely by July 2019, all courses for the Project 83 will be in the version 3. Now, we do understand that there are courses outside of Project 83 that have been using the version 2 templates, and what we're saying is to continue using those because we don't want courses that have 2 different sets of templates, and obviously for the student experience. So eventually, anything that sits outside of the Project 83 is as business as usual. If within the development, if there are courses that are units that are being developed now and maybe they haven't been used for the student yet, you'll have time to at least copy and paste them into the new template. So there's a few different scenarios there depending on which one would benefit. So
yeah, great. I guess that then, the next point from that, for those courses that are outside of the 83, where we're saying we've got that indicative time frame where we're working from, has there been consideration as to the strategy from the skills points to be able to pull that together so that the regions then aren't looking at doing duplicated efforts across all, including obviously the flow on from that, so we can work together, acknowledging the amount of time it will take, particularly for some of those courses, like, for example, the plumbing training package, where you may have units that are in excess of 100 that may not fit within that 83. So what would the strategy be behind that, and has there been consideration?
I can't answer that question, Virginia, because I haven't really been involved in that. But what I'll do is I'll pass that on and talk to Joe Fuller on that, because I'm not aware of, I'm sure there is, but I'm just not in that space. So thanks for the question, and we'll come back to you, if that's okay.
Thank you.
Yes, so Tracy's just posted, in answer to, yep, great, thanks Tracy. All right, was there anything else for me before we move on to Tracy? Okay, great, Tracy, all yours.
I do have a question.
Oh, okay.
Just confirming what Virginia said, this is actually a huge task.
Yes.
To get all of these products up onto the assessment, and just saying what Virginia said, it's very counterproductive to have everybody duplicating it. Could we not have a coordinated approach where each individual region was given the task, and then perhaps it could be a project within each region to disseminate out? I just think, each region running off and doing this individually is extraordinary resource intensive, and it's not supportive of the one TAFE approach. Perhaps we could have individual skills teams and products located to an individual region, or some sort of divested, where we're all working collegiately together and not all at the same purpose.
Look, I would agree that a standardised approach is definitely the best, and to have a strategy in place is obviously the key here to ensuring that there isn't any duplication, because that's not what we're wanting to do, and to have a seamless process. But as I mentioned, that's probably not something that I could answer at the moment, because I know that there's been some work done and I'm not really aware of all the details. So we'll definitely take that on board. We have it recorded, so we'll go back and we'll come back to you with further more detailed information. Great. Okay, Tracy, over to you.
Lucia, I might just
David.
start. Yeah, I might just start if that's okay, and
Great,
then I
yep.
will hand over to Tracy. I
you.
might just share my screen as well if that's okay. So I just ask. Yep, thank you. So yeah, thank you everybody for attending. I'm just about to share my screen, and I just wanted to talk about the difference between the two versions of, two types of version 3 documents that Lucia had mentioned. So Tracy will speak to the Learning Bank, but I wanted to just briefly go and have a look at the data docs, but I want to explain a few things first. Firstly, both the Learning Bank and data, and in fact probably most of our systems now, it's much better if you use the Google Chrome browser or the Safari browser. Internet Explorer has some errors in both of those systems, and the recommendation is that you use Google Chrome or Safari. Tracy may explain some more detail about that in the Learning Bank, but that's the recommendation. So the primary difference between the two sets of documents are that in the Learning Bank are basically Word documents that will require you to manually enter the TGA data. So in other words, the information around the unit number, the unit name, performance criteria, essential elements, etc., all those pieces of information that you are probably currently now copying and pasting out of TGA into Word documents. The data docs are different to that. That information is automatically ingested into Word documents, and I'll just explain what I mean by showing you. I will leave the Learning Bank collection for Tracy, and I'll just move to do a really brief demonstration of how data works. I'm just going to enter very quickly, I hope. I'll just grab a training package. Yep, it doesn't matter what it is, anything just for the purpose of example. You'll see as I'm typing in data here, I'm looking at BSB course. Down the bottom of my screen here, documents start appearing. How the system works is you put in the training package, the qualification, and any units you may want, and then you'll see that the data docs, as they're called, then appear here. I'll just explain a few things about this. Whenever you do this, you'll find the first thing you'll get is a link to the TGA. So if I was to click on that link, up will pop TGA for this training package and qualification. There's a few primary documents that you'll notice at the front. Although we're not talking about the TAS, the master TAS, in this conversation in any detail, the master TAS is also available through data docs, and as with all the other documents within the suite, any TGA data that is required within the context of that document, so in our case the assessment documents, will be automatically put into the Word document. On the right hand side are the support documents that Lucia had mentioned, so that any support document related to a data doc will be on the right hand side. The last thing I want to mention before I open the document is, if I want to, I can either download these documents individually if I choose, or if I want to, I can click on the download all zip file, which is just a new feature as of a few days that allows me to bundle up all those documents on the screen there into one zip file, and I can download the entire package. I'll just go quickly to a document to explain how it works. I'll just open the document, and on another screen in the background that you can't see is a document that is just open now. So the data docs, as I mentioned, will automatically put this type of information into the document for you. So all the TGA data, and it will be different in different document types, obviously between a mapping document and a UAG and the different types of documents. There's different data that will pull in, but in fact that would save you the trouble of having to go through the Word documents and inject all that data. I'll just briefly talk about the process of what would I do with these documents if I got either the Word document that doesn't have the TGA data in it or the data doc that does. You obviously download the documents and then save them as per your usual practice, most likely on your SharePoint. Tracy will talk to the scenario about loading assessment documentation back into the Learning Bank if you need to. but that's just a brief snapshot of how data works. I'll just explain one more thing before I hand over to Tracy as well. Just in relation to the data web service, the data that is extracted directly from TGA, and in some cases, particularly with older units, units 4 or 5 years old, there can sometimes be errors in the extraction of the data from TGA. It's not a problem actually with the Data Docs web service. It's a problem with TGA, the TGA database. So we're recommending that when you use DataDocs, that you also, as part of a process, undo the TGA link and just check that the data has transferred correctly from TGA into the documents. We've found there can be a particular issue that's been identified with a few units around the foundation skills. So if you scroll down to the unit details down to where the foundation skills and just have a bit of a look there, we found in a couple of instances there's been a data error there. If you do find any issues at all, either with the DataDocs service, so in other words, the DataDocs where I was just showing the green screen, or with the transfer of any of the data from TGA into the Word documents, we will give you this slide pack after this presentation, but you can basically log an issue with the ServiceNow service from this link, and you just need to put in the details of what the matter is, whether it's a technical matter with the DataDocs service itself, or whether it's some errors in the transfer of data from TGA to the Word documents. I'll stop sharing my screen and talking now and take any questions anybody had before handing over to Tracy.
There is a question in the chat, Dave.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so sorry, there was a decision, so this is around why version 2 and why version 3. So the EBS system, as we know, has releases, so release 1 or 2 or whatever the case may be. The version 2 documents we're referring to are, and there's some confusion obviously, in all the terminology, but the version 2 documents were what were called the compliance templates that were available from the compliance and standards, as it was called at the time, or I think they're now compliance and contracts intranet site. So they're referred to as the version 2 documents. We're referring to these assessment templates that we've developed as version 3, and EBS, and so TGA uses a different system again. It uses, that's the release is referring to the TGA training package release. So
yes,
all slightly
yes. Sorry, that was my question. But the TGA uses release, but EBS has versions within those releases, and it's confusing the head teachers.
I can believe that.
if it pulled through as R2 or R1 from TGA, it then relates to the release from TGA, so the release number of that product. EBS has a habit, the Quality Services Unit sometimes change versions of a release number because they're taking out obsolete units from the imported unit group. And so you might have a release 2, but a version 4 in EBS. So when it says V, it's confusing the staff, and I was wondering if you could just change the V to R.
Sorry, I should explain that the data doc system is consuming the data out of TGA. So whatever TGA says the release number is what this system. Am I using the right language? Sorry. So we're consuming this information from TGA. Is that making sense? And
so in other words, although it says release 2, when you pull it from TGA, TGA is saying it's version 2.
No, I'll explain it a different way. Depending on what information I type into this box, this information is coming directly from TGA. So just for example, this unit, this BSB that I put in there, you'll notice there's a number of versions. For example, there's a version 3, there's a version 9.9. This information is coming directly from TGA. Is that making sense? So
Yes, okay, so we can't change it. All right,
No.
thank you.
okay, no worries.
Dave, it's Virginia. I guess my query then with it is I've just gone in and looking at the population of it as well. I think one of the complexities come with that where we've got the interchanging. If you populate the TAS document, it comes through saying that it's the V1 when it's the release one. So when we look at it from a TGA perspective, that's what the complexities are. So release is actually saying that it's there on TGA. Do you want me to screenshot and send it through to you?
Yeah, that'd be good.
Yeah, I might do that and I'll take it
yeah.
offline.
Yeah, no, that'd be good.
Thanks,
not
Virginia.
new to Virginia too. Long
No,
time
it's very, yeah, I know, Dave. It's very complex, and I guess probably as adding to this is very, I mean, for a lot of people, this in the West region, for all of us, we've actually spent that time going through data in our instance too. So it's not a new thing, but it's exciting that for us, you know, it's sort of hopefully will be business as usual.
Thank you, Virginia. If you send that information, that'd be wonderful. Thank you.
No worries, Dave.
And I might hand over to Tracy. And of course, if there's more questions, please ask them. But I'll hand over to Tracy.
Thanks, Dave. Hi, everyone. Nice to see you all. So my role is the manager of Learning Bank. So what I'll just run through quickly is where you can find the templates that we've been talking about in the Learning Bank, and then also briefly just talk about how you will find the Skills Point resources once they are released in the Learning Bank. I will just do a kind of a fairly high-level brief overview, but my team are really happy and keen to meet with your teams separately and run through in more detail how the Learning Bank works and how your your skills teams will use the resources or access the resources in the Learning Bank. So if you have any, I suppose, meetings that might be suitable for us to attend, absolutely happy to come along to those and give more information. So following on from what Dave was saying, if you go to the Learning Bank and scroll down a little bit, you'll see there's a search portlet, and the bottom link in the search portlet is actually a search for TAFE New South Wales templates. So if you click on that search link, it will actually bring you up a list of the different templates that are currently available. So at the moment we have the assessment templates that Lucia and Dave have been working on, but in the near future we will also have other teaching and learning templates available in that particular collection. So you will be able to click in the search box at the top to search for the templates that you're looking for, but at the moment there's not a really long list, so you're probably best just to scroll down and find the ones that you're interested in. Once you identify one of those that you want to access and download, you just click on the link on the homepage and you'll see that there is a little package of resources that go together for, in this case, a skills assessment. So you'll have a support document, which is the PDF. You'll have the assessment event and also the marking guide templates. You can click the link at the top there to download all of the files in one go if you prefer. Does someone have a question? No? Sorry, I just heard a noise. Okay, so that's how you access the templates in the Learning Bank. But obviously, if you download the templates from the Learning Bank, you would have to populate all of that data. So, you know, in most cases, it's going to be better to go via data. Okay. So that's that part. The second thing that I just wanted to run through with you is how you will find, and how in particular the skills teams will find resources once they're released by Skills Points. So you'll see on the homepage of the Learning Bank that we've got a link to each of the Skills Point areas. And once you click on one of those Skills Point areas, you'll actually come into a tailored search that will allow you to search by that Skills Point. And if you use the search terms ideally of unit code or course code, they will be the best ways to find the resources that you're looking for. But alternatively, you can search by any keywords. So, you know, words within a unit name or within a course name or even a topic name, and they will come up for you. The other ways to search within the Learning Bank now, if I go back down to where we had the TAFE New South Wales templates link, you'll also see that there's a search for the Skills Points approved training products as the first link in the search portlet. That will search across all of the Skills Points. So clicking on one of the buttons at the top will search for just that Skills Point. whereas this link down here in the search portlet will search across all of them. As I'm sure you're aware, some of the units will be released by one skills point, but they could be used across other courses. So most likely the best search is going to be this search here to get access to as much relevant information as is available. The other thing just to note is we also have a search here for the non-approved resources. So what that means is we have, I suppose, just created a new area within the old Aquila to run the Learning Bank collection. The resources that were added into Aquila in the past by the RTOs are all still available in the Learning Bank. So if you need to access any of those existing resources, you just need to click on that search for training products not approved by SkillsPoint, and that will search across the whole state. So whatever you have access to based on your permissions and your location, you'll be able to find and use any of those resources. Over time, we will be archiving those resources once the teach out period for resources that are now replaced by SkillsPoints comes about, but in the short term, all of those resources will still be there for you to access and use. So if you have any of those linked into things like Moodle courses, then all of that will still be stable. None of that will be affected by the new SkillsPoint collection. The final way to search is probably a more detailed way. So we do have a search link up in the top left-hand menu. And if you click on that search button and then click on the little drop down, you'll see that there's some advanced searches that have been created for the Learning Bank. And the one I wanted to show you is this search by any field, advanced search. So if you click on that, it brings up all of the different fields that are available in the Learning Bank collection. So what that means is you're able to tailor your search across one or multiple fields. So you could put in a combination maybe of a unit code, as well as a course code if you wanted to, as well as a skills point, also a program, delivery mode, cohort, whichever combination you want to, and it will filter your results based on those selections. So most people won't need to use that search function, but if you wanted to really narrow down your search results, then that is available and can be helpful. Any questions about the searching or finding the templates or the resources?
Yes, Tracy, it's Julianne Williams in Tamworth. Can you just go back to, I'm just trying to follow you as well, can you just go back to where you got all of those extra search items to come up?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. And sometimes there's a delay, I think, and so I've already moved on before your screen catches up. So from the dashboard, if you click on the search link in the left-hand menu, and then mine is already filtered, but what you do is you click on the little drop-down arrow just below the search magnifier icon, and then in the right-hand column, you've got Learning Bank search by any field.
Aha, thank you very much. Yep, got it.
Great. Okay, thanks. Any other search-related questions? No? The final thing that I'd like to show you is just once there are resources in the Learning Bank collection, what they'll look like. So we have got some dummy records in here that I can show you. So the first two here on the list are the ones that I just wanted to briefly let you know. So when we create records in the Learning Bank for SkillsPoint resources, generally we will have two records for each unit. So one will be the teaching and learning resources, and the other record will be the assessment resources. You'll notice in these examples we've also got a course code at the end of the record name, so the HLT 33115. That will only be added to the name of the record if the resources are only suitable for one or a couple of courses. Generally, the intention is that we will be able to share unit resources across qualifications, but as you know, there will be instances where that's not actually practical. So if you're searching for a unit code, generally it will just have unit code teaching and learning or unit code assessment. On the search screen, which is what this is replicating, you'll see there's a little bit more information that will allow people to filter and make sure they've got the right record. So it has information including the full name of the unit, the collection, so the fact that it's in the Learning Bank collection, the skills point or skills points that are using those resources, the delivery mode and the cohort. Once you click on it, I'll just open up the assessment because that's the one we're mainly talking about today. Once you click on the link, the record opens. And one thing I did want to point out is you'll see the message which is in green at the top, which indicates that this resource is actually approved by Skills Points. So what we're hoping is that staff will get used to seeing if it's green, that means it's a Skills Points statewide resource. Alternatively, there's a purple message that shows up if it's a RTO developed resource prior to, I suppose, OneTAFE. And so those will have a purple message. So hopefully staff will just quickly see, oh, yep, this is the one I need because it's a Skills Point resource. Below that, you'll see that there is now, the presentation is in a table format. So hopefully it's a bit easier to read than the old Aquella format. So you'll see the unit and also the qualification or qualifications at the top. So that could be quite a list if that unit is being shared across qualifications. Also information about the suitable delivery mode and cohorts for these particular resources. And then below that, we've got the assessment resource documents as well as the teacher-facing documents. So obviously the assessment events will all be up there, the learner guide, potentially RPL, although it's probably at a course level. And then you've got the marking guide, mapping documents, and the teacher RPL guide in this case. So they're all of the documents split up so that we've got the student-facing and the teacher-facing documents. And right down at the bottom, you've got the contact details for these resources. So you've got which Skills Point is responsible, which product manager can be contacted for any questions about that, and the date the record was created, and also the review date for those resources. So you know how current they are and when they're due for revision. So that's basically what our records will look like. The teaching and learning are quite similar. So any questions about the record displays? No, it doesn't look like it. The final thing which leads into Lucia's next point is around the naming conventions. Oh, I think I just broke it. Let me just go back to this one. So with the products that are released by Skills Points, they will be following some naming conventions, which Lucia will talk about, but I just wanted to show you that the document that Lucia will refer you to is available in the Learning Bank in the Help for Staff portlet. So just below the search portlet, and it's the second one down, the training product naming conventions. So anyone who's using the Learning Bank will be able to access that document. So I'll hand that back to you, Lucia, if you like. Would you like to share your screen again?
Thanks, Trace.
Yep.
Thank you. Does that come up? There it is.
Not yet.
No, not yet. Start again. Sorry about that. All right. Is that up now?
Yep, we can set that, yeah. Yep.
Great, thank you. Okay, so as Tracy mentioned, the file name and convention. So just down the bottom here, once you've onto the Learning Bank, it's the third one, Help for Staff, and it's actually called the Training Product Naming Convention. So we took the existing one, and what we did was we updated it to incorporate all the different names of files across the different multiple documents. So everything from teaching, learning, assessment resources, TAS, we've tried to link them, and you'll see here from the document, it provides an introduction, some basic rules for naming conventions so that we do have a consistent approach across all the development of a suite of products from the learning resource all the way to the last unit. So through it, there are different sections with abbreviations, examples of how to file it throughout. As you can see, there is the assessment templates. We've added all the assessment templates of the version 3. So this is the version 3 templates. And their codes and their filing names. And these have also been added into the footers. So when you retrieve a document, as an assessment template of the Learning Bank or data, there is that information already in the footer, and it just requires to be updated. There's also information on the TAS and how to file that accordingly. There's some information on cluster resources. We've asked how we would do that, so we've provided some guidance around that as well. Version control, so in these student assessments that sits on page 2, in other documents like the TAS, it may be in the footer, but we have ensured that version control exists in all the documents, the footers and the resource ID. So that with the information for the skill points and the abbreviated code. So the recommendation is to use this document with any documents that you are developing to ensure that there is consistency throughout. And I suppose it would be good practice if to use it while you're in the development stage in your draft before the final product hits the learning bank, so that there is a consistent approach, and it also facilitates better searching for the particular different products that you need. So coming to continuous improvement, so in developing the version 3 templates, we gathered feedback from a wide community, and we reviewed all feedback. We incorporated what we felt was really important for this round, so things to do around better addressing compliance requirements, additional instructions for better usability for trainers and assessor, version control, document filing, standardised across the different systems. There was a bunch of feedback that was nice to have, and maybe things that we would consider down the track, like further technology and things that we could definitely evolve the version 3 templates, and that will be considered in the next round. So at the moment, we're at the stage where the version 3 templates are available to use, and we'll be reviewing and monitoring that cycle over the 6 to 12 months, and seeing how that goes. And if there is any feedback, there is at the bottom there an email that you can provide feedback to. But testing the tool is important now to ensuring that it is doing what it's supposed to be doing, and I said over the next 6 to 12 months, the continuous improvement to see what we can improve in the templates, what we can add, how we can evolve them even further. And that's pretty much all from me. So if there's any questions to myself or any of the other colleagues online, please feel free to ask. Okay, great. I have asked all your questions.